All right, hello and welcome. I'm super excited and honored to have you here with me today as we unpack the new 2021 SEO formula. We're going to be going into what you need to do in today's environment in regards to what's happening with the Google algorithm in order to get your remodeling, construction, or home improvement services company website ranked on the first page of Google for as many keywords as possible. Because we know that when you rank well, you're going to get more traffic, you're going to get more clicks, you're going to get more calls, and it's going to move your company forward. How many of you agree that it's a pretty important initiative to get ranked better organically in the search engines? Give me a yes in chat. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something just to confirm. Yes, we all believe that. I've got a couple hands raised. Taylor says, heck yeah. All right, more of you saying the same thing. Excellent, excellent. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so as you know, this is part of your overall 2021 internet marketing plan. Earlier this year in January, we went deep on your overall 2021 internet marketing plan, talking about your website, talking about market positioning, talking about the big picture, SEO, pay-per-click, social media, email marketing, overall what we consider our digital dominance method. These are the key things you need to do to really maximize your lead flow via the internet. This is one part of the overall strategy. I really think SEO is a big, important aspect. When you rank better, everything you do works better. Your cost per lead is lower. And I'm going to show examples of that. Your lead volume is higher. I'm going to show some examples of that as well. But you also want to have a diversified strategy. You want to have a great website that's built to convert. You want to be tapping into paid advertising mechanisms like Google AdWords and Google local service ads, or even Facebook ads. You want to be doing some retargeting to bring people to the website. You want to have systems in place to follow up with and nurture the leads that you get that don't convert right out of the gates. So yes, SEO is important, but it's part of the overall big picture of how to really maximize your lead flow online. If you missed one of those earlier webinar trainings, post in the comments. Let me know that you'd like to see the 2021 Internet Marketing Plan training, or if you want to see our training on how to optimize your website for conversions. If you need any of that stuff, shoot us an email, ping us on Facebook, and we'll be sure to get you access to those resources because we want you to have everything you need to really succeed at the highest level possible. I'm going to call for your attention now. You're here. I know things can be a little hectic now. I know some of you guys in certain areas of the country are maxed out and don't have a lot of free time. But it's easy to get distracted in trainings like this with so much going on, or maybe you're just tired of Zoom meetings. What I'm going to ask, though, is if you're here, let's just give this our undivided attention. Let's turn off our cell phones. Let's shut down Facebook. If you're like me, I've got multiple screens running. I've got multiple tabs open. But if you're serious about really maximizing your results online, maximizing your rankings, let's give this next 60 to 75 minutes our undivided attention. Here's what we're going to cover in today's session. And today we're going to talk about specifically about the latest changes with the Google algorithm. Things are constantly changing. I want to bring you up to speed with what has changed. I'm going to talk about the most important things you need to have in place that actually could be hurting you. Things that you might have put in place in the past that might actually be bringing your rankings down that you want to be aware of because you might need to shift. You might need to pivot a bit. Really, we're going to talk about how to optimize your website using the new SEO formula. The latest things that have changed that you can do both on your website itself and off the website in terms of your authority positioning to really maximize your rankings and maximize your results online. Real quick, if you don't know who I am, my name is Bob Vance. I'm the founder of Home Remodeler SEO. I'm also the author of the book, Internet Marketing for Contractors and Builders, How to Triple Your Sales by Getting Your Internet Marketing Right. It is one of the top-selling books on internet marketing for remodelers, builders, and other home improvement services companies. We're actively involved in NARI, the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, as well as the NAHB, the National Association of Home Builders, and the Denver Home Builders Association. I'm an admitted computer geek, and I think I'm widely accepted as one of the top experts in online marketing for remodelers, builders, and home improvement services companies. But I say probably more important than any of that stuff is I've worked hands-on with tons of remodeling companies, builders, and home improvement companies of all types across the country. I've taken many of them from virtually no presence online, no lead flow on the internet, to now where they're dominant players in their market. ranked #1 for lots of different keywords, generating dozens or even hundreds of leads via the internet every single month. I'm honored to say that we've seen a lot of our clients, a lot of the people I've worked with hands-on, go from brand new businesses with little to no income to where they're at now, which is millions of dollars in revenue growth and really growing their companies as a function of getting their internet marketing dialed in. What I'm going to share with you is not based on theory. It's not based on a blog that I read on SEO Journal or something. It's based on implementing these ideas and strategies in remodeling, construction, and home improvement services companies, just like yours, and with proven results. I promise throughout today's training session, I'm going to be sharing real examples. That way you can look at them and you can see the real world aspect of how this plays out in a real remodeling or home improvement company just like yours. I will say that this is what we do. My company, Home Remodeler SEO, this is what we do all day, every day, day in, day out. We eat, sleep, and drink, and nothing but getting results for remodeling companies, builders, and home improvement services companies online. I've got a team of people that do content, people that do SEO, people that do link building, people that do citation development, people that run our pay-per-click campaigns, people that handle social media. And we're on a mission to help triple the sales of 500 remodeling and home improvement services companies over the next 5 years. If you'd like to talk with us about how we can implement these ideas for you, how we can help set up your website and do your SEO and run your online marketing strategies, we'd love the opportunity to talk. Just post a comment in the chat and we'll get you scheduled to take a look at what you have going on. Okay, so that's my only sales pitch of this entire presentation. The rest of this is going to be information based. But if you'd like help, if you'd like to have us implement these strategies for you, reach out to us. We'd love the opportunity to help you get the maximum results from your internet marketing and your SEO strategy as a whole. So let's dive in. The first thing you're probably wondering is, does SEO still matter today? We all know the Google algorithm has completely changed. We know that Google is serving completely different results than they did in the past. I'm going to pull up a search here as an example. If we go to Google right now and we type in Denver roofer, I'm in Denver, you can see what is now completely different from results used to look like. Used to be all organic and then maps results, and then it was pay-per-click at the top and then over on the sides too. Now Google's got local service ads at the top. They've got your pay-per-click listings, and they're moving the organic results further and further down the page. It's even more evident on a mobile device. If you would run that same search from your mobile phone, the organic listings, you have to scroll a couple times to finally get to those results. That does beg the question, should we even be spending time or attention on SEO? Do people still click the organic results? Do people still call from the organic listings? I guess what I'm trying to say is that while the SERPs have changed, the search engine results pages have changed, what we know is that still 81% of searchers prefer to click on the organic listings versus clicking on ads. 71% of the time, people are going down to the maps results and the organic results just below the map. I'm sure a lot of you are like me, like these statistics point out, and that is you're skipping over the ads and you're clicking on maps results or organic results. And it's the same for the person that's looking for your remodeling company or for your home building or home improvement services company. They're going directly to the organic results as well. So if your company is down to 6th, 7th, 8th result, or at the bottom of the first page of Google, potentially on the second page, you're missing out on the lion's share of the traffic. You're missing out on the lion's share of the opportunities that are out there for your company. It's important to recognize, yes, people are still clicking into organic listings, but most of it goes to the top 5 results. So yes, SEO still matters. Let me give you an illustration. Let me give you an example of this in the real world. One of the companies we work with, which is Classic Remodeling. They're based in Everett, Washington, just outside of Seattle. They're a full-service design, build, and home remodeling firm. Over just a couple years, we've done a lot of work to optimize their website, to get it ranked on the first page. And we're going to unpack the exact strategies that go into getting your website ranked on the first page, just like theirs. The service they're focused on right now, home additions, that's the keyword we've used here in the search. They are the only maps result that shows up called a knowledge graph on the right side of the page. So it's like their own featured showcase. And then when you look at the results, once you get past the ads, they have the top 2 rankings. Talk about the lion's share of the opportunities. This is how you dominate your market and really grow your company and company revenue. And there are dozens of examples just like this for hundreds of keywords. And that's really what counts, not rankings well for just 1 or 2 keywords, but dominating the search results for as many high value keywords as you can. But if we run a bunch of searches, home remodeling, home renovations, home additions, room additions, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling, they come up very strongly in those top 5 results, typically in the top 1 or 2 spots. We're very meticulous with our tracking. We want to know how many people are getting to the website, how many leads they're getting, how many calls are coming in. We track number of leads based on the source as well. How many leads came from SEO? How many came from local service ads? How many came from the Google Maps? How many people called in versus those that submitted web forms? So here's a snapshot we took last summer to show they got 33 leads over 2 months, and that's all from organic SEO and Google Maps results. You can see their total investment in online marketing, which is our management fees for SEO and content development. If we divide that out, it comes to an average of about $106 per lead, which is really on target for them in their market. They're really happy with that. They're continuing to scale those numbers too. In fact, they closed over $150K in revenue last month alone. But what I really want you to see here is that organically, 33 people that were qualified leads clicked on a non-paid listing, got to their website, picked up the phone and dialed in, or they called directly off Google Maps. Those are what I consider to be both organic leads. They're not paid. There's effort that goes into positioning your company or positioning your website so that it comes up in those first results. That 95% of their call volume it really is directly from organic results like these. And then, of course, their return on investment is around 10,000%. And that's a real number because we run the math with them each and every month. The point I really want to drive home with this initial case study, this initial example that I'm sharing, is that yes, SEO still matters. Yes, the algorithm has changed. Yes, Google has moved down organic results, but you can't rely on just paid results either. You can't just do local service ads alone. You want to do all of it. You want to maximize your lead flow online. But if, for instance, classic remodeling didn't have strong organic rankings, they'd be giving up almost 90% of their lead flow. So yes, SEO is very important. Yes, you want to make sure you understand the way SEO works. You want to understand the latest changes in the Google algorithm, and you want to be putting your best foot forward to rank in those non-paid listings. So with results like those, it's easy to see that, again, yes, SEO still matters. Let's talk about some of the big changes, because what was working in SEO a year ago, 2 years ago, isn't working the same way now. Here's some of the big things that have changed. First of all, you can't get away with duplicate content anymore. I'm going to talk about what I mean here, but there was a time that remodeling companies, builders, home improvement companies were notorious for creating pages for all their services. They created pages for all the cities they served. But the problem is that they cloned different versions of the page with the same exact content, just changing out the city listed in there, the geomodifier. So, Google made some changes to the algorithm where it's looking for that duplicate content. And if you still have it on your site, you could actually be pulling your website down without even knowing it. It could be negatively impacting your results. The second is low quality links back to your websites. These could really hurt you. There was a time not long ago where the most important thing in ranking your remodeling, construction, or home services website was building as many links as you could to your website. Whether you did this yourself or you hired a third-party contractor that did it for you, a lot of them were just getting a bunch of garbage links pointing back to the site and being able to show Google that you could rank for all these different keywords based on link quantity. But things have certainly changed, and now link quality is really what matters. Quality over quantity. And the fact is, If you haven't dealt with having tons of low quality spammy links, it's probably that you've seen a depression in your rankings and a depression in the lead flow that you're getting from organic search from having those low quality spammy links. Now, number three is you have to have a real physical office where you want to rank on maps. A lot of home services companies have been like, I want to rank in my main city and I want to rank in all these other surrounding towns too. So I'm going to set up a PO box address. I'm going to set up my aunt's house. I'm going to put that on Google Maps. I'm going to do a map pin, and ideally I'm going to rank in all these different areas. Well, Google's really put the kibosh on that too. Their systems are much better at recognizing, is there a physical address there or not? And then penalizing companies that have a lot of fake listings. You have to have a strategy to make sure you actually have a location in the area where you want to rank and a lot of authority and a lot of citations to make sure that you are ranking in those search results. And the fourth is that site speed matters. It really matters more than ever before. It used to be you could just throw up a WordPress site, leave it bloated with all kinds of blogs, leave your image sizes too large. And it didn't really matter one way or the other. In today's environment, if your website is not loading quickly from desktop and especially on mobile, now that's absolutely going to be hurting the way you rank in organic results on the search engines. All right, so let's dive in. You can't get away with duplicate content anymore. What I find is most remodeling and home improvement services companies serve between a 25 to 50 mile radius where there's lots of little cities and lots of towns all around. Now, let's just use Denver as an example. You would obviously like to rank in Denver, but then you're going to want to rank in surrounding cities too, like Aurora, Littleton, Broomfield, Westminster, etc. You're going to want to rank in whatever 15 or so little cities and towns around your main metropolis area. A very common strategy in the past was to create pages for each one of those and then make it a page with each of those cities as the focus of your remodeling services page. And then make a remodeling services page like that for every city using the same exact content and just changing out the city. You used to be able to do that and get ranked, but now Google's actually penalizing sites that have duplicate versions of the same pages. If you're going to do that, and I still recommend doing it, we do it for all of our clients, you have to make sure that the content from one city page to the next is different and unique. It has to be custom written from one city to the next, from one service page to the next. You need to make sure that you have original content. So you're going to want to reconsider what to do here if you already have your website set up like that. You either will need to spend the time and money to rewrite those pages or to remove them completely so that Google isn't penalizing you anymore. And so you can get back to seeing search rankings increase again for your website. The second issue is having a lot of low quality links. This was actually a function of the Penguin update quite a while back. It used to be all about links. He who had the most backlinks wins, sort of thing. But the Penguin update addressed that. If you had links from things other than local websites, things relevant to home services, that actually started to negatively impact your rankings in the search results. Now, what I really suggest you do is that you have someone take a look at your link profile. There are great tools out there for this. You can use Ahrefs. You can also use Majestic SEO, SEMrush. Basically, these tools let you put in your website URL, and it will create a report that shows you all the links that your website has. In other words, your link profile. It will also show you all the domains that you're linking to. There are a bunch of spammy, non-relevant links. You need to reach out to those websites and ask to have yourself removed. Or we do what's called a disavow process through Google Webmaster Tools. And we create a list of all of our negative links that we know we need to deal with and get removed, however long that process takes. We take on a lot of remodeling and contractor clients where they used to be dominant in their market. And then sometime in the past 12 to 24 months, they just fell off the search results. They fell off the first page. In some cases, they basically disappeared from the internet altogether. What we found in most cases was that it came down to two different issues. It was about duplicate content or it was about having bad links. In both cases, you have to go through a cleanup process that addresses both of these issues. We've even seen in some cases that a site's link profile was so bad, those folks were better served to just start all over with a new domain. Unfortunately, not all SEO skills are created equal, which I'm sure a lot of you have found through some previous marketing companies that you've worked with. We've heard all the war stories, believe me. So that's change number 2 that's going on in the SEO world. Pay attention to your link quality, put together a plan to address the bad links, and get yourself a spark of life for getting your website back in Google's good graces. Number 3 is that you have to have a real physical address to rank well in maps in the city that you want to rank in. If you're in Denver and you want to rank for Denver kitchen remodeling, you need to actually have a listing that's in Denver. If you played shenanigans in the past where you set up your aunt's house in Aurora and your uncle's house in Lakewood, and maybe you put a fake P.O. box address somewhere else, Google has caught up to these kind of things. Google has really improved their mechanisms to track down this type of activity. And so you'll want to clean up the fake listings. You want to go on to Google My Business, Google Maps Maker, and you want to find these locations. You want to mark them as closed. You want to merge them into your main listing, get those reviews to merge together as well. There's a process to be followed, and you can get this back on the right track. But to the extent that you've got duplicate listings, fake listings, not only do those not rank, but oftentimes your true legitimate listing winds up taking a hit or falling off maps altogether throughout the process. You really want to pay close attention to that. If you want to rank, you need a real location and the true location where your company is listed. It used to be you could get away with a virtual office, a UPS box or mailboxes, etc. location. And really, even those are not really performing well at this point. Most have been flagged by Google already. There are certain virtual offices that maybe aren't Regis or aren't the big players that you can get away with. But my best suggestion is to get a real warehouse, get a real location, make a little bit of a monthly investment for your rent and build your location around that, as opposed to trying to go on the cheap or worse, trying to do shenanigans and trying to skirt the system or trying to sneak past with a fake location. The next big change is that site speed matters more than ever. How quickly your website shows up on desktop, or even more so on mobile, is mission critical nowadays. It's having a really big impact on how well your website's going to rank. There are great tools like GTmetrix, and Google has a tool called Page Speed Insights. You go there, you put your website in, and it will tell you quickly, how fast or how slowly your website is loading. So an example of this, one of the companies we work with is Colorado Window Source. You can see if we run a GTmetrix report, they score an A with a perfect score of 100. And then a Google Page Insights report shows they also have a perfect 100 score as well. I wanted to show an example because this is one of those things you might say, does it really matter that much, this page speed thing? Does it really impact your search results? Google has put a huge emphasis on site speed and wanting to make sure they are serving their customers, those using Google as their search engine of choice, of having a great user experience that they can provide those customers. This is especially true of mobile devices, which Google seems to be focusing quite hard on the user experience, or UX, for mobile users. There are a lot of things you can do to maximize load speed. You can compress your images, you can compress things in the background, you can put a great server stack in place. There's a lot of server optimization elements that go into play to really enhance your load speed. We were able to do that, really optimize their hosting, optimize their load speed, optimize all of the elements that make the site load quickly. They went from about a 17-second load in a fully loaded page to less than 1 second. And their website's file size shrank by about 5 times. That's a big difference in load speed, both on desktop and mobile. They went from a D, or a 68%, to an A with 100%. They went from 68% on mobile to an A on mobile. So the question is, does that even matter? Does that even impact our results? A lot of the old-fashioned SEO just isn't as effective as it once was. In the past, it was about just getting the keywords in there. It was about getting some links back to your website, where now it's really more about user experience optimization. If you think about your load speed, why does that even matter? Well, it's because it's a user experience situation. Google knows that if they run a search and your website comes up quickly, that creates a better experience for that particular client that's on Google searching. Some things you also want to pay attention to are the new ranking factors. One of them is click-through rate. What percentage of the people that run a search are actually clicking through to your website? Google's paying attention to that. You want to make sure that your title tags and your meta descriptions are on point so that Google knows exactly what your page is about. The meta description as a ranking factor is kind of an old SEO thing that most people stop paying attention to. But what's important is the fact that your meta description is how you sell the click. This is what shows in the search results. So you want to sell somebody why they should click on you versus the other results on the page. Scrolling, that's also optimizing the user experience, making sure that once they get to your web page, that they actually scroll a little bit. That little scroll aspect tells Google this is a relevant result in the rankings. These people engaged with your website, in other words. You want to make sure that your web page isn't just a flat panel, but it's got meat to it, that there's content below the fold, and there's things that draw the eyeball down the page. Time on page is really important too, which is how long is somebody staying on the website when they get there. There's a thing called bounce rate, which is somebody getting to your website and then hitting the back button on their browser. If you get a high bounce rate, even if your click-through rate is high, that's going to negatively impact your search results. You want to think about ways to keep somebody on your site as long as possible. What we find is authentic imagery tends to draw the eyeball, and some real pictures of the real team, real text, before and after pics. Those things are more interesting and engaging than a stock photo or of a construction professional. I always recommend using some type of multimedia as well, because it keeps people on your website. You want them watching your videos. You want to see what the owner has to say, and you want to see what else is happening on the site. It keeps consumers on the page. Try and engineer reasons for someone to stay on your website and use video, use authentic imagery that impacts your user experience, which ultimately impacts SEO. And then, of course, off-page ranking factors. There are a number of citations that you can add. References to your company's name, address, and phone number, that's what a citation is. The number of views that you have is a big ranking factor. You want to constantly be thinking about how you automate the review request process. How do you create a world-class experience so that more and more people write reviews about your company? And relevant links, of course. You don't want to just throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, links are bad, but rather you have to have a smart way to build links that are relevant and authentic to drive your rankings. And then, of course, page speed. We talked about this. You want to make sure that your website loads quickly from a desktop and a mobile perspective. I'm going to talk about the specifics of on-page SEO as well as specifics regarding off-page SEO. But really thinking about this user experience is what the new SEO formula is all about. It's really about engineering click-through rates, about engineering time on page. It's about engineering the scrolling down the page and creating your website as the best result for Google to serve in your service area. You also want to figure out what the most important keywords are. There are great tools for that, like Google Keyword Tool Planner, WordStream, SpyFu, and Google AdWords Keyword Planner is probably one of the best. We use these tools to research and figure out what people are looking for when interested in a kitchen remodel, or when they need a roof replacement, or when they need other home improvement services relative to our clients' offerings. And then we want to structure our website so that it speaks to those different keywords. Now, you do this by having different pages for the different services. We have answers to the questions. We have pages for each of the cities in our service area. We want to optimize for the user experience. We talk about the scroll rate, the visuals, and multimedia. We want to optimize the on-page and off-page SEO components both. Now, from there, we want to track everything. You want to track how you're ranking. You want to track your click-through rate. You want to track your on-page visits and where people are clicking on your site. You want to track the result and if you sold the job. This means tracking how many calls you're getting, how many of those calls are turning into set appointments, in other words, into leads, and then how many jobs are sold for what level of revenue. Okay, so a lot of information so far, a lot of technical gobbledygook maybe for some of you, but I want to get a feel for what you're getting out of this so far. I want to hear from you in chat on what we've covered so far, maybe 3 or 4 things that can be hurting your rankings, as well as the new things you want to pay attention to. I just want to check in because I want to make sure you're getting what I'm laying down here. What are some of your takeaways so far? Go ahead and post in chat. What are some of your takeaways so far that we've covered on today's session? So Rebecca says, really focusing on page speed, making sure that the website is loading quickly, okay? Making sure the on-page optimization is dialed in. Victor says to make sure not to have any duplicate content, making sure that the website's load speed is dialed in, okay? Focusing on link quality, getting the link quality dialed in perfectly, getting rid of spammy links, obviously, yep. Brian says he needs to check and see if he needs to deal with bad links, get them disavowed if need be, getting some of those links removed. Mario says that his website might be too simple and might not be engaging enough to pull somebody in and get them scrolling down the page. Okay, fantastic. That's some great feedback. Thank you for that. Appreciate all the other comments. I appreciate the engagement. This just helps me make sure that you're getting these concepts and their importance. Okay, let's jump right back in. So when we think about SEO, there are tons of examples for what keywords people are using to search for your services. It might be simple like city plus general contractor, or maybe city plus kitchen remodeling, i.e. Denver kitchen remodeling or Austin contractor. The point is that these people are typing a lot of different keywords when they need your services. If you're doing remodeling, they might type in home remodeling, they might type in bathroom remodeling, they might type in home additions, maybe basement remodeling. Lots of possibilities that just go on, right? So you want to make sure you have a great keyword list to serve as your foundation and that it's relevant to what people are actually searching. So if you want to list in the most commonly searched remodeling and general contractor keywords, reach out to us, hit us in chat here. These are some of the best keywords to focus your website messaging foundation around, as well as your SEO, of course. So if you want to get that list, reach out to us and we can get you that list. You can also go to our website, homeremodellerseo.com. And I know there's a link on there where you can request a keyword list as well. And then there's another list that focuses more on new construction and home builder keywords. There are obvious ones like home builder and new construction, but remember, those are going to have high search volume, but also high competition. So you want to think about what are the most common keyword terms that people are typing in when they need your services. And there are also other long tail keywords that you need to be aware of. But you start with building your foundation first, with clarity on what consumers are typing in the most. And then you can create content and create your website structure so that it touches on all of those different keywords. Then ongoing content can focus on different variations as you keep sending the right signals to Google. And we have other keyword lists too. So if you own a Windows company, maybe a roofing company, be sure to reach out to us. We can definitely help you with those keywords as well. So be clear on the services that you want to focus on. Be clear on the keywords that you want to target, but you have to do on-page optimization. Setting up your website is key so they can be featured in the search results for those keywords that you want to rank for. So overall here, first, you want to have a strong website with good content and offering a good user experience. You want to leverage multimedia. using good keyword optimized pictures and video, and make sure the pictures and video are authentic, which resonates with people more so, and that helps with the time that people spend on your site. You want to have pages for all your services, not just remodeling or home remodeling. It's also the different services that you provide, like kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling, basement remodeling, home additions, room additions, design build services, on and on. If you want to rank for all those, you need pages with unique content for each of those services. You also want pages for each of those services for each of the cities that you operate in. Now, if you're in Los Angeles, but you happen to serve Pasadena and Palmdale, all those other smaller cities and towns found all around Los Angeles, then you need pages with unique content on each of those services. Now, it's really important that it's unique content. And then you can amplify those pages using geo-modified content and backlinking back to those pages. Other keys to good on-page optimization is having unique content for each page. Your focus keyword needs to be in the title tag of that page, and also in that heading 1 tag for that page, and the other H2 and H3 tags that you might be using. Your meta description for each page needs to be a message that sells the click or a reason for somebody to click through to your website. Name, address, and phone number, and the footer is a pretty obvious one that surprisingly a lot of websites don't feature. I'm just really not sure why. And then you need blogs that are being updated on a consistent basis with syndication and backlinking. So I want to take a moment and talk just for a minute about this syndication of your online presence, because this is part of the new SEO formula. One of the things is you don't want to just blog, you want to blog with purpose. You want your blog content to get picked up and to actually pass value back to your website. And this is where you want to focus on your on-page optimization. It can be really powerful. Just to show you a quick example, Classic Remodeling is a client of ours and a fellow NARI member. We rebuilt their website with a clean, new, modern design, and with a lot of SEO capabilities built in, such as the aforementioned key components like good use of keywords in the page title, keywords in the heading tags, different pages for their various services, as well as different pages that highlight the areas they serve. Their site is also well optimized for page load speed, and all this is what matters when it comes to ranking on Google. Before they started working with us a few years ago, they were nowhere to be found on page 1 of Google for any of their high value keywords. They almost didn't exist from a rankings perspective. They didn't have a strategy laid out, and we're missing a lot of opportunities, but that has changed once we put together a plan for them. And the proof is in the results. For one of their high value keywords, home remodeling, they show up #1 in Google Maps, and they also show up #1 in Google Organic right below the Maps section. And I can tell you that they dominate Google search results for hundreds of keywords and keyword combinations. The reason for great rankings results comes down to great on-page optimization. Now, we get all the technical stuff right, the hundreds of different components that we analyze and optimize, but a big key to their success is having messaging that speaks to the consumer. It answers their questions, because ultimately, we don't just want rankings. We want rankings that convert into leads and into calls. Always keep in mind that you need to satisfy both Google and the consumer when it comes to optimizing your website for conversions. So hopefully those SEO on-page insights help. Here's something to keep in mind, though, when it comes to SEO. There's thousands of things that you can look at from an SEO perspective, but if you just think about the 80-20 rule, that will put you in front of a lot of your competitors. And what I mean by that is to concentrate on the most important 20% of things to optimize, which in turn can yield up to 80% of your results. In other words, do you have the keyword in the title? Is it in the H1 tag? Do you have pages for all your services, all your clients? Is your site loading relatively quickly? Is there a reason for somebody to stay on the page for more than just a few seconds? Is your website mobile optimized, mobile responsive? Are you blogging and syndicating that content for future consumption? So was that overview helpful for everyone? Give me yes in chat. If you got some value out of this, maybe some things that you're going to implement immediately. Okay, there's a yes. Another one. Okay, a few yeses coming in. Okay, great. So I'd love to hear a couple takeaways here. I'd love to hear what one or two things you really want to focus on regarding your on-page optimization. What are some of the takeaways in terms of what we covered here with title tags, H tags, keyword focus? What are you going to implement in your remodeling, construction, or home improvement business as it relates to what we've covered here? What will you do with this knowledge? And if anyone wants a deeper dive analysis into their own website, put your contact information in chat, or just go to www.homeremodelerSEO.com/schedule. We can then do an in-depth analysis for you at no charge, kind of walk you through all this stuff in relation to your own site, and then kind of help you see where you stand and where you need to make some improvements. Okay, let's focus on off-page optimization now. On-page optimization is only a small part of the battle. You need all the on-page SEO, the title tags, H1 tags, extensive and non-duplicate content, meta descriptions, schema, markup, etc. It's all important. It's what dictates whether you're going to be in search results for that keyword or not. But what really is going to determine who ranks number 1 versus number 10 versus number 50 is the amount of authority that your web pages have. So let's talk about what you can do off of your website. This is what really impacts the rankings and results. The first is having an already claimed and optimized your Google My Business listing, which you can do at google.com, My Business. Most of you probably already done this. You also want to have citations, which are references to your company's name, address, and phone number all across the internet on loads and loads of different online directories in order to get that reference, which makes these authoritative backlinks for your website. Essentially, you need to be where your competitors are. So you need to be in tons and tons of those directories all over. You want to be on Google, Angie's List, City Search, Best of the Web, Hot Frog, and on the list goes. There are literally thousands of online directories. And the key is you want to be in those directories with the same exact name, address, and phone number. And then that passes authority and relevancy back to your website. And this is what ultimately helps move you in the search rankings. You also want to build up your online reviews. I talked about this before. Having more reviews than the competition is one of the strongest indicators of authority. You can use any number of review automation tools like Nearby Now, Bird Eye, Review Bus, Customer Lobby, Podium, many, many more. We have our own that we've built for our clients. But these tools are a dime a dozen. There's many that you can choose from. The important part is to make sure there's an automatic review request going out after every job that can help your customers easily click the button and write a review for you. We want those reviews to happen in public places. We want those reviews on Google, ideally, but getting them on Angie's List, getting them on Facebook, this is the key to have reviews everywhere. And so we're going to have some sort of a review acquisition system to create great service and to get great reviews happening on a consistent basis. Another thing we need to do is building backlinks to your website. And this authority building is a harder, more nebulous task to have success with. So you want links from other websites that are relevant to your services and then point back to your homepage, back to your services pages, back to your city pages. There's definitely a strategy that goes into this, which is typically the most difficult part. What I think most of you guys miss, those in remodeling, in construction, roofing, and other home service companies, is you look at the facade, you look at the service level of your website, you look at the on-page SEO stuff, and make sure you have all the relevant services pages, the city pages, etc. But what you don't see is the effort that needs to go into building authority for your website, building links to the various pages and sections of your site, which is ultimately what's going to move you up in the search results. Increase your page rank and your domain authority are the authority signals that Google is looking for. And I really think you want to be doing strategic content syndication. That is creating content and syndicating it across the internet. And we're not just relying on a random blog post on your website every month or two. Take, for instance, this webinar that I'm doing, which is the new 2021 SEO formula. And that's something new and really powerful because we're moving beyond the Web 2.0 blog, where you're just creating a blog post and calling it a day in terms of syndicating your content. It's on my website. Here it is. Great. Here's my belief, and we're seeing this in real life, is that a simple blog post on your website won't cut it anymore. Doing one blog per month, copying and pasting it onto your website, and checking that box to say we've created content really isn't moving the needle for you probably. It's an activity that creates more content on your site, but what you need is more backlinks. What you need is other news sources. What you need is other places across the internet linking back to your website, linking back to your Google My Business listing, linking back to those various service pages on your website. Now, I don't want to get too super technical here because we've probably already gone too deep down the rabbit hole on backlinking as it is with our obsession of what Google is looking for. But what's the secret sauce to getting websites ranked for remodeling companies, custom home builders, and other improvement companies? What we found is that secret sauce is really all about EAT, E-A-T. It's an acronym called EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust. We've talked about it a lot already, so I don't want to get super technical and lose everyone. But if you look at the SEO periodic table, these are all the things Google is looking at to determine whether a web page is relevant, whether a website should rank or not for that particular keyword focus. We're looking at quality content. We're looking at the technical metadata. We're looking at multimedia. We're looking at page speed. We're looking at site structure. We're looking at whether it's optimized for mobile, how authoritative it is, how many links there are, what the user experience is. By the way, this cool little table comes from SEO Journal, by the way, if you're interested. But what EAT really is the quality of the content on the page. Is it relevant? Is it structured? Is it media rich with pictures and multimedia? Is it authoritative? Does it just sit on your blog, or does it sit on third-party relevant sites that also pass authority, like the local news sites, ABC, CBS News, etc.? Again, these are the signals that Google is telling us is relevant for ranking a remodeling, construction, or home services website. Now, beyond that, Google has what they call third-party reviewer factors. A lot of times they have real people, humans, mostly in India. I'm sure almost all of them are international, that are looking at websites and seeing, okay, is this relevant? Is it legit? Is it authentic? Now, this is straight from that process that those reviewers look at to determine what should be given preference over something else. When it comes to local ranking factors, I really think the main things we want to look at are, one, proximity. How close are we to the search terms that we're looking to rank for? What this comes down to is getting your keywords, your geomodifiers, your zip codes and geo coordinates, and embedding that into the content of your web pages. And then, is your content relevant? Are we speaking to what the person typed in, the questions they have, the keywords they're looking for? Is our content matching that? Is it speaking to the customer in a unique way? Or is it just there for the sake of keywords in order to rank for a lot of different keywords? Then, how prominent is it? That's where content syndication comes into play. Because if you just have content sitting on your website, kind of like in a vacuum, and you have no links pointing back to your page, if it's not being picked up by news sources and more prominent authority sites, then it's not really going to move the needle forward from a ranking perspective. What we're doing for our clients is we've shifted from just putting out blog content and saying, all right, great, we did 2 blogs this month, we did 1 blog this month, and then leaving it at that. Is we're actually pushing this content out and getting it picked up by news sources, in effect showing your site as the source of that content, then leveraging that one blog to get picked up in a lot of places across the internet, and to get links then pointed back to your homepage, to your service page, to your city pages, to your Google Maps listings. What this does is it passes a lot of ranking and authority factors, which will move your website forward in terms of search rankings. Again, I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole, but what we've done in our own company for our clients is we've shifted to this syndicated blog strategy. And what that means is instead of just doing a blog or doing a news release, just listing the source as your company's website. So a typical blog would sit on someone's web page, and you might even have a couple of links pointing back and forth, internal linking going on within your site. But you'll notice on our client sites, if we create distribution links, you'll see that the content has been syndicated and it's actually being picked up by news sources, which generates countless links, citation ranking factors, all back to the client website. So let's take a look at a random example on Fox 21. And you can see this content that originally came from a local business's website, but now has been syndicated out and shows up on a news site. But the important piece is that it's listing the source as the client website. You can see the link where the arrow is pointing there. This isn't just like a press release or something like that where you just put the content out to hundreds of places, but the actual source is the press release site. The key is getting content on your website that's then getting leased out via content syndication. What I mean by leased out is other sites are hosting that content. You've essentially kind of leased it to them. Of course, not making any money off that. So an example like this, you have a bunch of places on the internet. They're now linking back to that particular page, which passes link juice back to that page. But not all the links should point back to the original client site, because if you do that, it can create kind of a spammy link profile. The other thing we do is a map embed. We talk about links back to the home page, to the service pages, to the city pages, but imagine diversifying your blogging strategy where you can create lots of links back every single month in this way. Every time we create a blog post using this strategy, we're able to create lots of structured citations that reference our company's name, address, phone number on authoritative news sites, which then passes more authority back to your website, which then helps get those map listings to rank higher as well. If you want to learn more about this, please reach out to us. We'd love to walk you through it. This is something we do exclusively for our clients. It's not like we can just randomly do content syndication for you. But if you're interested in working with us, this is one of our ninja strategies that help to get our clients ranked in the top couple of listings on page one of Google. Great on-page optimization, great off-page optimization, and strategic content syndication are what really move our clients' websites up in the rankings because it has more relevance, because it passes the EAT criteria, which really moves the needle in terms of a rankings perspective on Google. So some great examples of this. One of our clients that we work with is DC Roofing in Melbourne, Florida. This company also has divisions for their company for general contracting services, as well as marine construction, and we help them with those websites as well. Before we started working with them, they had no rankings whatsoever on Google. And then we started doing the content syndication strategy, and they moved up 151 spots, and 350 plus of their keywords that weren't ranking before moved up into the first page within the results as well. So it really shows a great increase in keyword rankings, and obviously keyword rankings turns into more visibility, turns into more calls. Same thing here for Classic Remodeling Northwest in Everett, Washington, right side of Seattle. We showcased them earlier and their phenomenal return on investment. But here they are on the first page of Google for loads of keywords such as kitchen remodeling in Everett, Everett home remodeling, home additions in Everett, design build in Everett, 241 keywords ranking on page one, and an additional 167 keywords now ranking that weren't ranking previously. And here's Colorado Window Source in Denver, Colorado. 236 page one rankings with an additional 176 keywords now ranking that were not previously. Keywords like Denver basement windows, custom vinyl replacement windows, bay and bow windows, commercial windows in Denver, casement windows, double hung vinyl windows, dual pane windows, custom windows company, and on it goes. Hundreds of keywords ranking. And one of the key things I want you guys to latch on to is that you need to be doing is not just putting up blog content, but rather putting out blog content and syndicating it so that you can build a preponderance of authority and links and citations back to your website, which is ultimately what's going to move you up in the search results. So here's a quick summary checklist of all those actions, all those action items that you need to be paying attention to. All the things that you want to do on page, off page, to build your authority, to build your relevancy, and ultimately to build your ranking so that you get more leads, more calls, and more momentum. Hopefully this is helpful. I hope I'm not going too deep. Like I said, I haven't really gone this deep in the past, but I do want to give you guys some insights and things that you can look at and say, wow, that's something we can do that would really move the needle from a rankings perspective for our own website. So just to summarize, key takeaways here are to set up a great website, have pages for each of your services, have pages for each of the cities that you serve. You want to make sure that you're getting your keywords and your cities in the page titles, in the H1 tags, the other heading tags. You also want to make sure you have unique content across your website, no duplicate content across your different service pages, your different city pages. Make sure you're leveraging multimedia, that you're getting reviews from across the web, building up citations and consistency of your name, address, and phone number across the web, posting content on an ongoing basis and syndicating it out so that you can build authority is also key, where you're building authority and consistency with backlinks and citations. Leveraging paid search to identify some of the high converting keywords that you want to focus on should you also have PPC as part of your marketing strategy if your budget allows that. So this is what's working really well for us nowadays. Hopefully I've painted a clear picture for you. I've given you some specific ideas, strategies, and techniques to go back and implement. I'd love to hear from you in the chat. What were some of your takeaways? What were some of the things that you can say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go implement this in my business, or maybe, hey, I need to learn more about that specific aspect. Of course, if you'd like help, if you'd like to talk with us about implementing this for you, we'd love the opportunity to chat. If you want to just put in, let's talk in the comments, that'll be our cue to reach out to you. Let's schedule a time to talk. It'll be a no pressure conversation. We take a very concentrated approach in kind of outlining, what you need to do to succeed in online marketing. And if you're interested in learning more about us, our services, how we can do this for you, like we've done it for hundreds of other remodeling companies, home builders, and other home improvement companies in competitive markets across the country, what we'll do is we'll do an analysis of your online visibility. We'll develop a keyword list, figure out what the most important keywords are in your service area, and show you exactly where you rank right now. Usually it's the missed out keywords that represent a lot of lost opportunity, that represent the calls that you should be getting that you're not. Then we'll do an analysis of your consistency in terms of your name, address, and phone number, and online reputation, as well as help you diagnose many other aspects of your digital presence that you should be looking at and where you might be able to make some improvement. You're going to get value from this session one way or the other if you choose to follow up with us. You'll get a lot of clarity on where there's room for improvement, and whether you want to take that back to your current marketing provider or try to implement it on your own, that's fine too. Or if you say, heck, look, how much would it cost to have you guys do this for me? What would that look like? You guys look like the experts. So we'd love the opportunity to have that conversation with you as well, since this is what we do day and night, 24/7, 365. To set that up, to claim this free SEO review for your website, you can call us at 855-235-9140, or you can just go to homeremodelerseo.com/schedule. If you go to that page, it will take you straight to the calendar where you can pick a time that works for you, and we'll get to work on analyzing your site. We'll get to work running that report for you and showing you exactly where there's room for improvement or how we might be able to help. Well, hopefully this has been helpful. Give me a thumbs up in chat or a thank you or something just to confirm this was useful. And if there's anything that we can do to help or support you, please let me know. Okay, cool. Some people commenting, thank you, great information, extremely useful, good. Thank you, Brenda, appreciate that. Thank you, James. Thank you, Joseph says. Awesome. Okay, comments keep rolling in. Great, love it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for attending. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback. Let us know how we can help, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon.